Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Coffee and Careers. I'm so sorry if you tuned in a little bit earlier ago. We had some technical glitches. I know with everything going on and the switch to virtual, I'm sure you guys are used to that. I know we all are. But I appreciate your patience with us. So, my name is Erica O'Toole, and I have some very special guests today that we're excited to introduce. I'm an assistant director in the Career Development Center, and I am the liaison to the College of Education and Human Services, as well as our global campus students. And as usual, I have my coffee with me today, and my mug, which my grandmother got me for my thesis when I did that for my master's degree. And my master's degree was actually on Facebook events or Facebook games and how I could use them in the classroom. And so thought it was appropriate because we're on Facebook. So I chose this mug in my crazy plethora of mug collection that we have at my house. So as usual, I have my caramel macchiato creamer in there. And I'm super excited to be with you today. So, with me today, I'm super excited because my minor was in event management, and I have Tim Ottoman today with us, who teaches in that department and was actually one of my professors. So really excited to have him talk about that program. And then I also have Jamie Story, who was with us in last week's. And so I'll let them introduce themselves in just a moment here. As usual, please ask us questions throughout, and I will put those up on the screen and we will handle those the best that we can. But we're excited to have you all with us today, and thank you for joining us. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Tim Ottoman to go ahead and introduce himself.
Well, thanks, Erica. We sure appreciate the opportunity to talk to not only you folks, but Facebook world out there. I also have my coffee cup with me. I'm not a coffee drinker, so it has water, and it has my name, Timothy, which is super weird because the only person that calls that is my mom. As Erica said, my name is Tim Ottoman. Everybody on campus calls me T.O., from students all the way to the president. But it's a great opportunity to kind of get our word out there about what is happening in the world of recreation and event management. I'm born and raised right here in Mount Pleasant and a proud three-time graduate from CMU. My undergrad, my master's, and my doctoral degree are from here. So I bleed maroon and gold. So it's always great to talk about our programs. Thanks for having me.
And Jamie, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie Story, and I am the Director of Advising Student Services for the College of Education and Human Services, which really just means I help oversee the academic advising for current students who are in our EHS programs. I am also an alumni of Central Michigan University. I graduated from the College of Education and Human Services with a Family Studies major, and I am currently back in the College of Education and Human Services for my doctoral program in educational leadership. And I have my mug with me which is says San Francisco, and it's kind of a landscape, as you can see. And I realized as I was getting it out today that it was perfect because I got this mug in roughly 2007, 2008, when I went to San Francisco for a conference as a student to present research with a faculty member at the university. So really awesome opportunities for students at CMU. So welcome.
Very cool. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started. So, Tim, if you could just talk to us a little bit about what we could do with a degree in recreation and event management.
Well, I think the easy answer is what can't you do with one? Um, I think the breadth of our industry really is the selling point that you have the opportunity with the hard skills and the practical experiences that we provide you in our in-seat classes to go into an industry that's super, super broad and changing all the time. I think we talked a little bit before we went on air. The world that was before March was a world that was full of events. And now, post COVID or in the middle of COVID, events are still going on. They're just virtual. And so, one of the things I think that's super cool about our program, and Lori Irwin, a colleague, and I just wrote an article for the International Festival and Events magazine that was called College During COVID. this generation of students may be even more prepared than ever before to work in the industry because they've had to learn to pivot on a moment's notice. They've had to learn what do we do about risk management at events. They've had to learn how do we go from live events to virtual events. And so when you think about the areas, again, they're really wide. If you think about camps and youth sports, recreation that happens at resorts like a Disney or a Six Flags, nonprofit fundraising events on a college campus with activities at things like a student activity center, but also admissions or alumni events, the meeting planning world. Conventions and trade shows and expos are all part of that. Parades like the Parade Company in Detroit, multi-purpose facilities like a Little Caesars or a Ford Field not only has professional sporting activities, but they also have activities that are revolved around concerts or monster trucks or ice capades. We have people that go into the military form of recreation called MWR, Morale, Welfare, and Recreation, where they're providing recreation opportunities literally all over the world on military bases for personnel and their families. Faith-based recreation, some of our mega churches, corporate events. If you have IBM as an example comes in and brings their top salespeople in for a weekend of activities, somebody has to plan those. And so the cool part of our industry is it's not one job. It's not like you go get a chemistry degree and become a chemist. Here you get a recreation and event management degree and really have a wide palette of colors to pick from.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
actually, it was kind of funny because I asked him to provide me with some backgrounds for this Facebook Live. And, you expect like just, I mean, I didn't really expect this, but you kind of expect some pictures of like students in a classroom or something. And I mean, look at the background behind us, right? This is amazing. So I got some really, really cool backgrounds from Tim. One of them was like a concert. I get this one. I mean, the things our students are doing are just so cool in this field. So I just love hearing
Absolutely.
about everything they're doing. So, Jamie, I
Well,
know you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
let me just tag team on the end of that. I think one
Yeah.
of the really cool parts of our program is you go from student to intern to practicing professional really, really
Hmm.
quickly. And
Hmm.
so one of the things we do in our department culturally is doors are always open. Students call us by our first name because we become colleagues really quickly, and the students for our program become rock stars in our industry really, 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 really fast. And so it's great to make that connection with them early on.
Absolutely. I know I always felt like that as
Amazing.
a student. That was really, really cool.
Perfect. So, Tim, I have a question too. So, as a student, what would I expect from the courses within recreation and event management?
Yeah, great questions. I think somebody's trying to break in my office. Um, I think the first part of our classwork, the 100s and the 200s level, like in every program, are introductory. They kind of give you a wide spectrum of what is all recreation, and then a little more narrow, what is recreation and event management. But as you get into our tourism courses and our human resource courses, our risk management and marketing and programming courses, they are super hands-on. We put you in groups, but we make you get practical experience by not theoretically doing it on an exam or with a number two pencil on a test. We're actually going to make you do it. And so our program class is a great example where you get put in a group of five with four people who are diametrically opposed from you on purpose. You run a program, you create the mission statement, the goals and objectives, you create an evaluation plan, you market the event, you run the event, it raises money, you partner with a charity, you donate that money to a charity, and at the end produce this professional document that was, what'd you do to pull this off? Well, it becomes kind of the drop the mic moment when you walk into an interview and they say, hey, have you ever planned an event by yourself? Yeah, as a matter of fact, last semester with four people I didn't know, we raised $763 for Make a Wish and did a virtual event in the middle of a global pandemic. There's no better way to get an internship or to get a job than to have those hands on experiences.
Yeah, and I just have to say that it was so cool because so I took on the role of the liaison for College of Education and Human Services probably about a year ago. I've been in this position for 6 years, but just recently this college. And so I met with Tim, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and he offered to take me around the building and just kind of show me what was new. And I found so Tim's mother creates these quilts from the t-shirts of that class, because you typically create a t-shirt for your program, and I found my t-shirt in the quilt. So that was so cool. So my program, I remember it was called Hoops for Heart. My husband now participated in it with me. So it's just such a cool thing that my t-shirt's still hanging up in a quilt in there.
Yeah,
And then
oh,
yeah.
sorry.
No,
It's
go
pretty
ahead.
neat. The quilts are not only in some of our faculty offices, but up by our computer lab. And so one of the highlights
Hmm.
of all alumni is, where's my quilt? I want to find my
Yeah.
shirt. But we've raised about over $150,000 since 2005, local, state, national, regional, international charities. So not only are they understanding how to put the event on, but how to create community partnerships. And so super valuable skills in our industry.
Absolutely. And then the other one I remember too, I was in another event management class where we actually had to plan like a cruise. And I mean, it was like a full event. We rented out a space. We could invite our family. My grandparents came. I remember just so many good memories from this program and such hands-on events that we planned. So, yeah, I mean, what a great experience.
Good. Glad to
Um,
hear it.
yeah, absolutely. So, Tim, what minors, if I was looking at that, what minors could I pair with some of the majors from this program?
It's a great question, and we have a document. I'm going to kind of hold it up so you can see it a little bit. The front of the document really lists all of our majors, and then some work document over here, the ability to plan your schedule. But this document also has all of our 16 pre-created minors. And so what we really have done in partnership with programs across campus is, what's the complementary skill set you need for the particular form of the industry that you want to go into? And so if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want to be a wedding planner, then I'm going to say to them, hey, hospitality is probably your best minor. It's got food, beverage, and lodging attached to it. That's going to give you a credential that's going to make sense in our industry. But you also might get an entrepreneurship minor because you want to run your own wedding business and don't know how to run the business part of it. And so we really do kind of walk you through what we call cradle to grave, from the standpoint of, when you get to our program, all the way through the execution of your internship, you are hands-on with a faculty advisor from the department helping you make those choices. We've went through this document and made all the adjustments to the changes on all the minors. We list the number of credits available. Who do you call to sign that minor? So this document really becomes kind of a one-stop shop for their major and minor components.
That's awesome.
Awesome, absolutely. So, Tim, can you talk about what careers are trending right now in the recreation and event management industry?
It's super cyclical. And as you can imagine, the pandemic's going to change the world a little bit, because we've never went through, well, I guess 100 years ago we went through it. Um, but we haven't been through it in modern times. And so what's the outcome? I'm not sure, but I'll give you an example. I was on the phone last week with Castle Farms in Charlevoix. It's a beautiful venue. Back in my day, it was a concert venue that we saw all the hard rock concerts up in Charlevoix, but the castle still exists. It has 11 different wedding venues within one venue. And they said, hey, we need 4 interns for next year. And so we start to work with them on interns. And they said 175 weddings have already been rebooked for 21 that got canceled in 20. And so part of the world is going, well, why would I go get a degree in recreation and event management? We don't even have events anymore. We're going to have more events than ever before as soon as the world starts to open back up. And with that example, you can see that's happening. Um, and so as we kind of think about how that works, um, the it's wide open to us. I will tell you, it's geographic and it's event driven, both trend wise. You know, for a while everybody wanted to go to Colorado. The graduates wanted to go to Colorado, and before that they wanted to go to Chicago. Now everybody wants to go to Nashville. And so those things change over time. But I think the corporate event world is really growing for us. And then the meeting and convention planning world, people who want to plan conferences and trade shows, expos, corporate meetings, um, conventions, that part of the world is growing at a more rapid rate than ever before. And what they're looking for are people that have bachelor's degrees and hands-on experiences with complementary minors. And so part of the reason we created the curriculum the way we did was to respond to the industry. It wasn't that long ago we were identified as commercial recreation and facility management and community leisure services administration, and the entire world went, I don't know what that means, including our students and our parents. And so when we changed it to recreation event management, it became a little easier to tell our story, and to not only get to students, incoming freshmen, but to get to those students on campus that might be transfers or people who switched majors, who found us because of the human service component, to get them placed in the right spot.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I love that you changed names because I was, I think, a student during that time when it was like community rec, and I was like, what is that? And yeah, absolutely. I think it's so much more recognizable. And it's amazing that your department really keeps up with the times in the industry and adjusting so that students really benefit from that. So
And,
that's
and
great.
and we still do kind of have those divisions, right? The community rec side, like I said, with community rec programs, your YMCA's, your local park and rec departments really are kind of the nonprofit side of that rec that happens right directly in our own communities. The for-profit side, the corporate side still exists, and that was kind of the commercial side. And so those things did get morphed back together, and primarily because of two things. One, we realized that the hard skills were exactly the same. You need marketing and risk management, whether you're for profit or nonprofit. And then the other is we have a very active advisory board that are practitioners that are in our industry, that are grads of our program, that we meet with at least 2 times a year, that have the pulse on what's going on out there, that do a great job of directing us from a curriculum standpoint to make sure we're teaching the next generation the right things.
That's great. And I do see that we have some people joining us live. Summer, I know you're an alum, so I wanted to say hi. Thank you for
Hi,
watching
Summer.
today. And again, if you guys have questions, please feel free to send them at us or send us a shout out. We're happy to say hello. It's so awesome that we have you joining us. So Tim, another question for you. What can I do to best prepare for a career in this area?
Well, first of all, attend Central Michigan University. Second of all, sign an REM major. I think those are really the starting points, right?
Yeah.
So the ability to get to our program allows us to get with you and talk about what are your non-negotiables? What are your search parameters? What do you want to do so we can partner with the appropriate minor and get you in the right classes? So I think that's the first step. Um, but again, can you imagine what the skills of our students are? Sure, you can. They're the people that worked on yearbook. They're the people that planned the events at their high school. They were part of student groups. They were your campus leaders with student government. Those folks are the ones that traditionally come to us. But the preparation really is an understanding that you've probably been involved in this world much more than you ever realized, not
Mhm.
just on the planning side, but on the attending side. You don't want to be a wedding planner. That's okay, because you probably went to a wedding that wasn't very fun. Um, but you understand what a wedding is. You understand what youth sports are. You understand what homecoming is. You understand what it is to put on a function. And so some of the hard skills are already wired into you. It's just an issue of do you want to make this into a career? So as we talk to our students initially in some of our intro classes, we get them out and get them building resumes. And as you start to build those resumes, you really realize how many things you've already done, right? By the time you've graduated from college, that high school resume kind of goes by the wayside because we are going to fill you with practical experiences. 500 hours of volunteer time before your internship, the only 30-week, 30 credit, 40-hour a week internship in the entire country, practical application things within our classes, our REM passport that gets you experiences above and beyond your resume, 2 pre-internship classes to prepare you for your internship site. So we really have a system in place, to not only um, allow you to succeed, but almost make you succeed. We're going to get you to a spot that's going to allow you to be successful.
That's
Absolutely.
amazing. So I know you talked about this a little bit earlier with Castle Farms, which I've been to a wedding at Castle Farms, by the way, and it's beautiful. Um, But can you talk more about what types of internships you've seen students do when they've come to Central Michigan University?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about our internship program because again, we're different, right? We have a 30-week internship. So when you think about graduating from CMU, you need 120 credits to graduate. Well, in our program, 25% of that is practical application, right? So what it means is instead of me teaching you a class in the hallowed halls of historic Finch Fieldhouse for 2 more semesters, your internship or your teacher becomes your internship supervisor. Your classroom becomes the site where you're doing your internship at. So whether it's going to go, hey, I'm going to go to Guantanamo Bay, or I'm going to go to Pearl Harbor because I want to work with military recreation, or I want to work at Little Caesars Arena or Mercedes Benz in Atlanta, or the brand new sport facility in Las Vegas where we have a grad working. Those internships are out there. Our grads hire our grads. That's the really cool part. It's a little incestuous, but that's really how it works. I mean, we'll
That's
use
okay.
we'll use Ford Field as an example. Chris Judd is there and was one of our internship supervisors of the year. Great friend, unbelievable colleague, phenomenal supporter of Central. Did his internship at Safe Management, has never left. He calls and says, "Okay, which ones do I take?" Because we have that relationship. And so it doesn't matter what form of our industry you want to get to. We have a database that's 45 years long of where every student has went. We have alumni calling nonstop to place interns because they understand what a 30-week internship gets them.
Mhm.
It gets them somebody for 30 weeks, 40 hours a week, not Tuesday, Thursday afternoons where you don't really get to be involved. But the other part of it that's really cool for our students is about 65% of them get offered a job at their internship site because we suddenly realize,
That's
Oh,
man,
awesome.
Jamie's been here for 30 weeks. What the heck are we going to do? We can't do it without Jamie. And they either find Jamie a spot or they make cool recommendations to their other colleagues and go, hey, don't miss out on this one. She's a rock star. And so our network is super, super strong. About 65% of the community rec professionals in our state are CMU grads. And so if you want the door to be opened, this is the place to come from a university standpoint, but also from a departmental standpoint to have mentors out in the world that are going to be willing to take you on as an intern, but also prepare you for after 30 weeks that you can enter right into our industry.
That's
wow.
awesome.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
And Tim, I want to talk a little bit, and I know you touched on it with resumes a little bit, but preparing application materials, because I know that's something that you guys focus on a lot. I know that's something that we focus on as well. And it's such a great partnership, and I love that. So I just want to talk a little bit about that and how you guys prepare students for that.
Sure, we really prepare them for the interview much more than we prepare them for a document.
Hmm.
But resumes are a great example. They do a first formal one in 307, kind of their midterm class. They do one in 310, their first pre-internship class, 2 semesters before their internship. They do a brand new completed one at the final end, which is RPL 497, our professional seminar class before their internship. But at that point, we also do an REM passport portfolio of all the things that went from their first class to their last class that are tangible ways to illustrate um, hard skills without being at a job. We make sure they collect all their materials from their classes, their program plan, their risk management plan, their marketing plan, that they worked with companies and accomplished those. So we really spend time not only giving you a major and a complementary minor, but all these other things that illustrate hard skills to walk in with a portfolio of materials that are specific to that job. One of the things we spend a lot of time with our students is let's not create one generic resume that we send to everybody. Let's create a specialized resume specifically for that job. So you are the person that can't be hired, right? Or it can't be not hired. We tell students all the time, don't learn it just because you want to memorize it. Learn it so you know it. And it's your world. It's your marketing piece. And so nobody can sell you better than you, but you got to spend the time to realize, man, you've done a really cool group of things in the 4 or 5 years here. Let's make sure we illustrate those. And probably one of my favorite phrases to students all, um, that I use all the time is one, it's not what you know, but who you know. And in our program, you're going to know lots of people, not only the people sitting in your class, but me and Lori and Jill and Dean Wallen and all the people that are going to help in this internship search. But the other thing that we tell them, especially as sophomores coming into our program, is you don't realize how cool you are yet, but we do. You've made this choice. We're going to help you then get classwork to internship to job, and we're going to watch you develop. But by just making this choice, we kind of know the virtue of that student, and we're just going to figure out what that coolness is and where it fits best, and then get you placed appropriately.
That's awesome. And I love hearing that because that's something that we emphasize so much. You know, you have to create individualized resumes, right? We're not just, I always say, don't make it rain resumes, right? We need to
Right.
customize the resumes, make sure they know you're interested.
Well, let me tie into that real quick, Eric. A good example.
Yeah,
Of Summer's here. Summer wanted to intern and did intern at one point at the Smithsonian Museum, but she was applying to the Country Music Hall of Fame and went and got their logo. She customized her resume and cover letter to the colors of their logo, and
that's
even
awesome.
with a stylized photo of their building on her cover letter and resume. Shelby Harris, who's a grad of our program, wanted to work for the Tigers and took a picture of the scoreboard and changed all the pictures in the scoreboard to be the pictures of the places she had worked. Instead of staying Tigers at the top of the scoreboard, it read Shelby. So you looked at it and went, oh, I'm looking at the scoreboard of Comerica Park, and it was her entire resume in a graphic. Those are the kind of cool things that our students do. And in both cases, both of them got interviews. And that's the goal, right? That the cover letter gets you to a resume gets you to an interview. And at that point, you got to sell yourself. So
Absolutely.
we try to get them to that point.
Absolutely. And just, you know, the fact that you're telling them, like, we know how cool you are, because so many times we have students that come in and they say, well, I don't really know anything that I did to put on my resume. And then we get talking to them and we're like, look at all these cool things you've done. Like, we can fill up pages. And it's just amazing to me sometimes that they don't see that in themselves. So I love that you guys emphasize that so much to them. That's great. Um, we're getting close to the end of our session, but I mean, I've learned so much and I minored in the program. So I love that I've learned all of this. I love the energy you always bring, Tim. I mean, I just love hearing you talk about the program. You can tell that you're passionate about it. And I can only imagine, and I hear it all the time from students, how much they love hearing you speak in your classes because, I mean, they can feel how much you love this industry. And I could tell today. So I'm sure everyone watching could as well. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, good. I
So
think I think one of the selling points of our program, I think, is Finch Fieldhouse. It's not a brand new state of the art $50 million building, but it is home, and the culture here. I think what you're seeing with me is the culture of our faculty. Like I said,
absolutely.
we go by our first names. The doors are open. Our job is to prepare you for our industry, and we're going to do that in a variety of different ways, different modalities, different teaching styles, different outcomes. But all of them are based on um, all of our faculty are practicing professionals from the industry who then chose to teach about it. And so, with our connection with our alumni, I think it gives you the opportunity to figure out your place in the industry, and we're just here to help foster that.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. I'm sure our students really appreciate it. Thank you, Jamie, again for joining as well. And then next week, we're going to do this again. So
Yeah.
I'm just loving hearing about all these programs. Next week, we're going to hear about interior design. So I'm super excited about that one as well. Any closing thoughts, Tim, or any advice for students thinking about coming in and talking to you about the program?
I think the key is don't be scared of us. Right? We're
Yeah.
not these scary people that are going to bark at you and not talk to you. Now we might have to have a mask on, right? We might have to socially distance, but give us a call. We'd rather answer the questions on the front end and be encouraging to you versus you have to kind of weed through some of the red tape. Again, myself and Lori and Kyung Hee and Jill, whether you're a major or a minor, email us, make an appointment, stop in, make an appointment, stop in, say hi. All of those are acceptable. We just want to get you started on the right path.
Absolutely. And I would encourage, I mean, like you said, major or minor. I know as a minor, I felt so welcome. I felt like it was my major. So I encourage that too. I think it's so important for students to just meet with you guys, talk with you through the program. You guys are an excellent resource. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for having coffee with us. We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And everyone have a wonderful day. Happy
Thank
Thursday.
you. We'll see
Thank
you
you.
later. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.